Okay, this tutorial is to help you review dividing with decimals. And I've opened up a flip chart that we used during first quarter when we covered dividing with decimals. And I'm just going to go through some of these examples and then have you try some on your own. So taking a look at our success criteria. Remember, you're first going to write the problem in working form. Bring the decimal point straight up into the quotient. And so that means I do not have a decimal in my divisor, and solve and then check your work. So I'm also going to write the steps for division. When you first start, you divide, you multiply back, you subtract and compare, and then you bring down. Okay, so those are the two things I need to remember. So let's start with putting this problem in working form. My divisor is 19. My dividend is 48 and 64 hundredths. And according to my success criteria, I'm going to take my decimal point and I'm going to put it straight up in the quotient. And I'm doing that because I do not have a decimal in my divisor. So now I'm just going to start with dividing. 19 would go into 48, and I'm going to think if I round this up to 20, 20 would go into 48 two times. Multiply back, 2 times 9 is 18. Carry the 1, 2 times 1 is 2, 1 more is 3. So I just did my division, multiplied back. Now I'm going to subtract and compare. 8 subtract 8 is 0. 4 subtract 3 is 1. I compare my remainder, or what I have left, at my difference after I subtract, with my divisor. 10 is less than 19. So now I go to my final step and I bring down. And 19 is going to go into 106. Well, again, if I estimate, 20 would go into 106 5 times. Okay? Now I'm going to actually multiply back, not just estimate. 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 more is 9. And I'm going to subtract. This is going to be 1. 10 subtract 9 is going to be 1. And I'm going to bring down the 4. Okay, now when I had 106 and it went 5 times, I had 11 left over. Now I have 114. So 5 is not going to work anymore, but 6 would work. 6 times 9 is 54. Carry the 5. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 5 more is 11. And my quotient is 2 and 56 hundredths. So now let's try another one. And now we have a word problem. Again, I'm still going to write my steps for division. Divide, multiply back, subtract and compare, and bring down. And Alex paid $83.40 to rent a car for 7 days. How much did it cost each day? Explain what the answer represents. Well, this is how much he paid altogether. That's his full amount. Kind of a little difficult to write using the keypad. That's all together. Kind of hard to read too, but all together. That was his total cost. Probably would have been easier to write total cost. And 7 days. I want to know each day. So that tells me if I want to know each day, that's a division problem. So I'm going to write my problem in working form. 7, and I'm dividing it into $834.40. Okay, again, I don't have a decimal in my divisor, but I do have a decimal in the dividend. And according to my success criteria, I'm going to write that decimal point in the quotient. So I'm going to put that there now so I don't forget about it after. And now I'm just going to divide. 7 will go into 8 one time, multiply back, 7, subtract 1, 1 is less than 7, bring down the 3. 7 goes into 13 one time. 7 times 2 is 14, so it cannot go 2 times. Again, multiply back, 7, subtract 6, bring down the 4. Now I'm going to look at 7 goes into 64. How many times? And that's going to be 9 times. 9 times 7 is 63. Subtract 1. Bring down the 4. Okay, and now 7 goes into 14 2 times. And 7 times 2 is 14. Subtract 0. Now, some of you may be saying, oh, that's it, I'm done. But actually, there's still a 0 here in the dividend. You have to bring it down. 7 goes into 0 times. And 0 times 7 is 0. And you're finished at that point. There's nothing else to bring down. And we're not going to keep adding zeros because that wouldn't make any sense. Now, this says, explain what the answer represents. Well, the 834 and 40 hundredths is money. This is days. So this is telling me how much money it cost per day to rent a car. $119.20 is your answer. Okay, so now let's go on to what we did before for structured guided practice. And I'm going to work with you to set this up. And then I'm going to pause the video, or I want you to pause the video, and I want you to do your division to check and see if you have the same answer that I'm going to have at the end. Okay, so again, I'm going to put my steps for division. Divide, multiply back, subtract and compare, and bring down. And I have 3, and I'm dividing 3 into 285 thousandths. Remember, when you're reading decimals, you count the place value, position, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and then you read the number and put the place value at the end. 285 thousandths. Okay, put my decimal point in the quotient, and I'm going to have you pause the video here, and I want you to do your division, and then when you're finished, check back in and see how you did. Okay, pause here, do your work, and then check back in. Go. Okay, so I know 3 does not go into 0, and I'm not going to put a 0 and multiply back. I'm going to go to the 2. 3 goes into 2, it doesn't. But this one I am going to multiply back. Some of you may have looked at 28 and thought, oh, I don't have to do this step here, I know what it is. And if you did that, great. If you did not see that, take it step by step. So when I subtract, I have 2. Oops. Pay attention to what I'm saying. I bring down the 8, and now I think 3 is going to go into 8 how many times? And it's going to go 9 times. I put that 7 because I was thinking 9 times 3 is 27. Subtract 1. 1 is less than 3. Bring down the 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And 3 times 5 is 15. Okay? And the other statement you have here is explain one way to check your work. Well, as we've talked about in class, if you want to check your division, you take your quotient and you multiply it by your divisor. So if I have 0.095 and I multiply this by 3, let's see what we get. 15, carry the 1. 27, one more is 28, carry the 2. 0, 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 0 times 3 is 0. I have 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal place. 1, 2, 3. And I got my answer back. So now on to the next structured guided practice, and we have another word problem. Lee bought 12 identical toys. His total was $30.96. How much did each toy cost? Each toy. I want to know the cost of one. This is the cost for 12. So when I see each toy and I want to know the cost, that tells me I'm dividing. So again, I'm going to set up the division with you, and then I'm going to have you pause the video, check and see your answer and how you did. Remember, I need to take my decimal point and put it straight up in the quotient because I do not have a decimal in my divisor. I do have a decimal in the dividend. So I just put it up in the quotient. And now pause the video here, do your division, and then check back in and see how you did. Okay. I didn't put my steps here before you divided, but I'm absolutely positive you remembered what they were, but I'm going to put them here again. And I know I need to divide 12 into, how many groups of 12 will fit in 30? Well, that would be 2. Multiply back, 12 times 2 is 24. Subtract 6. 6 is less than 12, so I'm going to bring down the 9. 12, or how many groups of 12 would fit into 69? Well, that would be 5. That looked more like a 2. 5 times 12 is 60. Subtract 9. Subtract and compare. 9 is less than 12. Bring down the 6. How many groups of 12 would fit into 96? And that would be 8 groups. 8 times 12 is 96. Subtract 0. And the answer represents the cost of one toy. Remember, the $30.96 was $30.96. 12 was the number of toys, so your quotient represents the cost for one toy. Okay? Good deal. Okay, now I'm going to show you the 2 final check for understanding examples, and I want you to try working them out and then check back in to see how you did. Okay, here's your first one. And remember, you're going to set this up in working form to start. Okay, and your steps: divide, multiply back, subtract, bring down. Pause the video here, work this out, and then check back in to see how you did. Okay, so let's check and see how you did. Remember, you need to write your decimal point in the quotient. when you're putting this in working form before you start. And then how many groups of 8 would fit into 22? Well, that would be 2. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract, and you have 6, and bring down the 8. Oops, actually 6, compare, 6 is less than 8, bring down the 8. Now, how many groups of 8 would fit into 68? Well, that would be 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Subtract 4. Well, I don't have anything left in my dividend. So I know that I need to write this as a decimal, so I'm going to write a 0. And now I'm going to bring down that 0, and 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40, and you are done. So now let's check the next one. And again, another word problem. Lee paid $55.26 for 18 boxes of cereal. How much did each box cost? So again, let's set this up in working form. Then you're going to do the division. Okay. Pause the video here, finish your division, and then check back in. Okay, so now let's check and see how you did. How many groups of 18 are going to fit into 55? Well, there's 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 more is 5. Subtract 1. 1 is less than 18. Bring down the 2. How many groups of 18 fit into 12? Well, none. 12 is smaller than 18. So you have to put a 0 in the quotient. Multiply back, 0. Subtract 12. Bring down the 6. How many groups of 18 are going to fit into 126? And that would be 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 5 is 12. And there is no remainder. And then explain what the answer represents. Well, the 55 and 26 was money. So $3.07 is the cost of one cereal box. Okay? And that's it for your tutorial on dividing decimals. If you need to, replay the video and practice again. If not, then good job, and stay tuned for the next video, which will probably be on dividing decimals by decimals. Bye for now.